have both you and Taylor. In fact, Taylor, I'm now going far more limiting than I realised, because I normally can add to Spotlight on a laptop, but clearly not on a phone. But I'm going to hand over to my good friends Taylor and Graham from Finder.com, and they're going to tell us some of the things we probably should have known years ago, but there's never a better time than now because of Black Friday and Cyber Monday and that sort of stuff. I'm sure they're going to share that with you. But I want to know how I can find the best bargains and savings online, the easiest way to find those bargains, because of course everyone's looking for a bargain, and now no more than ever before, given the fact that people have become fairly tight with the money. And if it's okay, Taylor, I'm going to now make you the host.
Yeah, that's great.
Taylor, do you have controls there to enable shares?
Taylor, you should now be host.
Yep, I'll share the presentation here, and we'll just.
Can I grab the screen share just for my half, and then I can hand it over to you, just so I can control it?
I'll flick through it.
No, I need to do website stuff as well.
Oh, you do? Okay. Then.
And Taylor, now that you're the host, you should be able to add a host as well and change the spotlight.
Okay.
So there you go.
There you go.
Great.
Now you're the co-host. There.
Cool.
Okay. Now.
I can.
Now
okay,
we're cooking with gas now.
We are cooking with gas. Yes, indeed. Share. No, not share. Present. So can you guys all see my screen? My mouse moving around? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone's on. Yes, we can see it. Everyone else is on mute. So asking questions for answers is going to be not great.
Yeah, we all of our presentations virtually, we're getting used to the ask a question and get like no response kind of thing with anything we're doing. So hello everybody, welcome. We are from a website called Finder, which is a comparison website in Australia. So it's a type of site you can use to compare different financial products side by side, things like home loans and credit cards, personal loans, but also things like, you know, the best mobile phone plans, the best broadband plans. We started off in 2006 in Australia as just a website focused on comparing credit cards. It was called Credit Card Finder. Then we added in other products like home loans and personal loans. And we used to have several different names. So it was Credit Card Finder and Home Loan Finder. And as we expanded and added more and more items, it just became Finder. So that's where the name comes from. And our aim is eventually to be the platform that you can use to compare any financial products that you want to buy in Australia, or any commercial product, either be the platform which Australians can use to make that decision as to, you know, what to spend their money on, basically, and how to find the best deal on your bills and, you know, on your mortgage, but also, you know, make sure you have the best fridge and microwave and TV and all of that. So we're growing into that space, but this is generally what we cover. So we produce a lot of content, and we have a lot of writers and journalists and researchers focused around financial products in Australia. So that's where we kind of come from. There's a little clip of the site there. So myself and Taylor are here to talk to you today. So Graham Cook, I run the insights team at Finder. So we're like the research team essentially behind a lot of the media focused research that Finder does. And we also write Finder's Insights blog and provide a lot of the kind of economics focused commentary on the site. And Taylor is one of the managers in our PR team, so he manages a lot of the media content that we do as well. Both of us are spokespeople, so we talk on behalf of Finder fairly regularly. So we were asked here to come and talk you through a few kind of savings tips that you guys may not be aware of. I'll try to go through this at a relatively slow pace. I tend to talk quite quickly, so I'll have to consciously slow down a little bit, just because I think a lot of this will be new to a lot of you guys. We'll talk about 4 different things, and at the end, then we'll open up the questions. And if you have any questions about anything we've talked about, you can ask us. Maybe it's a good idea to kind of write down any questions you think of as we go through, so you don't forget at the end. And so we don't have that thing where at the end of the presentation, we go, is there any questions? And it's just silence. So we'd like to have a couple of questions that we can address. So I'm going to talk about 2 things. I'm going to talk about how to save money online. There's a few ways to do that you guys might not be aware of. I'll also talk about how to make the most out of your savings accounts, because in the current environment in Australia, with rates as low as they are, it's very difficult to get value out of your savings account, but it is possible to get the best value. So we'll talk about that. Taylor will then talk about saving money on household bills, and also how to avoid being scammed online while you're saving money online. So that will round it up back to the beginning. But how to save money online. So I'm going to talk about 3 different things that you might not be aware of that you can have extra quivers in your bow to save cash online. And those are to be aware of the big savings events, which I'll go through, to keep an eye out for discount codes and always apply them when you can find them, and also to use price watch websites, which I will show you and demonstrate when we get to that. So first of all, is the big savings events. You guys will all be aware, obviously, of Boxing Day, which is the traditional big savings event in Australia, when stores have ordered all this extra stock in to sell for Christmas. And by the time Christmas comes, they have stock left over they haven't sold. Excess stock they need to get rid of. That's Boxing Day. It's the beginning of the Christmas sales in Australia and most of Europe. So this is the traditional day that you guys will all be aware of, where you can usually get decent discounts online. But this is only the day, the traditional biggest discount day in Australia. There are other days across the world where you get bigger discounts on a different date. And because of the internet, because of the way everybody's aware now of what's happening in every other country, all of those other sales days have kind of spread across to Australia, and it's all kind of homogenized. So there's more than just Boxing Day if you want to get really good discounts online, and you can save simply by shopping, on or around these particular days. So Boxing Day is the one you're all aware of, but Black Friday is the other big one at the moment. So Black Friday, just like Boxing Day is the day after Christmas here, Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving in the US. So similar situations, stores have excess stock. It's also the beginning of the traditional discount period in America. So it starts earlier than Christmas, and their sales then go through to the new year. So it tends to be the day in the US where you get the biggest discounts. It's become a bit of a cultural thing. You may have seen stuff on the news of, stores holding big Black Friday events and huge crowds outside that pile it and trample over each other to get the first on the top of the pile of discount TVs and stuff. So that used to be just in America, but it's now spread everywhere. And with big retailers here like Amazon and such, Black Friday is now something that is global, and it's a date which you can keep an eye on to get deep discounts in Australia. Now, Black Friday is tomorrow, just in case you didn't realize. So tomorrow there's going to be really big sales on a lot of online stores, and you can save a lot of money just by shopping on that day. The other one is Cyber Monday, which is kind of like a sequel to Black Friday. Black Friday traditionally was only for bricks and mortar stores, Walmart, and you'd go in and physically buy things. And then Cyber Monday was something the online stores came up with to kind of tailor it. So, you go to your physical store on Black Friday, you get your discounts there, you get your online discounts on the following Monday. But what's happened is it's kind of all fused together. So between these 2 days, you get deep discounts across all the online stores. So this is the weekend to kind of grab your pre-Christmas bargains. It's really good for us because we get the American situation of the early shopping discounts, and we buy presents for Christmas here. So you can avail of the sales before the sales start, essentially. They're the two main ones. There's also some others, though. There's Click Frenzy, which happens in March, which is an Australian online sales event. It was created specifically by a company here to try and create the Black Friday buzz of people buying things online in Australia, kind of before Black Friday was big, but they now kind of exist simultaneously. So around mid-March is another day when you can get pretty good discounts. Keep an eye out there. And then there's 2 other ones to keep an eye on. Mid-October tends to be Amazon Prime Day. They're the biggest online retailer in Australia, the biggest in the world, actually. And their biggest discounts, up to 50% off in some cases, will be on Amazon Prime Day. That's mid-October. And then finally, a new one in terms of these big sales events is Singles Day, which is actually a day they have in Japan to celebrate people who are not yet married, which seems like a bit of an odd day to have to me, but they have it in China, and it's a big sales day. So that now, because we're so close to Australasia, is spreading over here too. So these are the big savings events through the year. Starting in December, March, you get Click Frenzy. October is Amazon Prime Day. And then all through November, you get the 3 big discount days. So it really is easiest to save by simply, if you're looking to buy something close to one of these days, just delay it slightly, shop on one of these days, and you'll often get a better deal. So that's the kind of most straightforward way. But we'll talk about 2 other hacks, if you want to call them that you can use to get a kind of better price for online shopping. Even if you're shopping on these days, you can probably get a bigger discount, or outside of these days, you can get some sort of discount. We're going to talk about discount codes and price watch sites. So discount codes, right? You may have done a little bit of online shopping, and you'll be aware when you go through, you add your items to your cart, and then you go through to the checkout area, the section, you'll get where you fill in your details, like you can see here, and you'll get a little box which will say enter promotional code. This is the Dimmix website. I just used this yesterday to show the promotional code. Sometimes it will say a coupon code. So this is from catch.com.au. Same situation. I added some stuff to my cart and it says redeem coupon code. Now, if you're going to buy online from any website and this box pops up, this is a box where you can enter a code to get a discount that usually is catered to specific types of customers. So new customers might get free delivery. Some customers that subscribe to a particular newsletter might get a 10% discount or a magazine or something. If you get this box when you're shopping, you may as well see if you can find a code to drop in there, because you may get a discount for absolutely nothing. So if this box does pop up in your shopping process, don't click through and pay until you've tried at least 1 or 2 discount codes, or at least had a look to see if you can find any online, because usually you can. I have found in about 1 in 3 cases shopping online, I found some sort of discount code and got, you know, either free delivery or got a free extra or got kind of 5 or 10% off. So you may as well try it to get those extra savings. So where do you look to find one of those? Well, of course, you can come to finder.com.au. If you go to our site and go to the shopping section, the first logo that comes up there is for discount codes. And once you go in there, you can find a list of stores and sites, and you can search in there for whatever site you're purchasing your item from and see if we have a discount code available. So I just went on here this morning just to see what was there. Now, these codes tend to change day to day. So some will be active and then they'll not become active anymore. So we have a team that monitors them continuously and publishes them on our site. So just this morning, these were some of the active ones I could find. So you can get 20% off, you know, air conditioning items. You can get 10% off skincare stuff. The Iconic has 20% off your first order. Book depository, if you're looking to buy books online, 15% off. So this is an idea of the kind of things you can find. Sometimes there won't be any, but it's always worth checking. So you go to Finder, you type in the brand, you'll find a box like this, and the little code in that box there, so find 321 for naked, that's the code you put in the box online, and then you'll get your discount. So worth keeping an eye on, always worth a try, because it costs you nothing and it could save you money. Don't tell the other Finder people I told you this, but you can also just search for the brand on Google and put coupon codes in, and you know, you may find extra coupon codes there if they're not also listed on Finder. So that's number 2, that's coupon codes. The third one I'm going to demo for you, which is something you might not have heard of as well. It's called Price Watch websites. So these are websites, not Finder, where you can look at the price something is at online and see if it's actually a good deal or if it's not actually a good deal. So I'll show you an example of this now. There's 2 main brands that I like in terms of price watch sites. There's one called Camel, which works for Amazon. And there's one called Price Hipster, which works for most of the other sites in Australia. So I'm going to show you now. Here's a demo. Hold on. I seem to have lost my
email.
Yeah, I seem to have lost my save pages, so we're going to have to do this from scratch. Can I get history? Just give me 1 second. So I'm going to load my, because I had particular ones loaded.
And Graham,
yeah, you want me to take over and then we'll come back to you?
Yeah, do you want to do that? And then we can, I'll just get these pages up to do my demo. I seem to have closed it accidentally.
Okay.
I can do the end of mine.
Okay, that sounds good. So just if you click stop share, then I'll go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Not you don't. Yeah. You just stop the share on the thing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the. Okay, cool. So I'll hand over to Taylor now while I figure this out and get back to you.
Okay. Right. Let's launch this thing again. Okay. There we are. So as Graham mentioned, Taylor, I look after our money and insurance niches, which is a fancy way of saying the things that you can compare, from credit cards to home loans to savings accounts to term deposits, right on through all of your different insurance products. So I'm just going to go through a couple of things to look out for and tips to save. And then I'll end with some of the scams that we're seeing online right now that are specifically targeting our older population. So something that you can be aware of and let your friends know to be aware of, because the numbers are as high as they've ever been in terms of the number of scams and the amount of money being scammed from people. So the first thing here is on our things to consider. So energy on our website, we compare all of the different energy providers. These are the most popular across Australia, which you have heard of. And things to consider when you're actually looking at your energy bill are the supply rate, so your cost per day, your usage rate, what you're being charged per kilowatt hour, which is essentially if you have something that is like an oven that runs its average use, let's say, is 1,000 watts for an hour. That's 1 kilowatt hour of energy used as a general way to look at that. And then time of use rates versus single rates. So do you pay the same amount for energy throughout the day, or do you get a better deal if you're using energy during what are called off-peak hours? So one thing when you're comparing your price versus what the best prices are out there, first of all, you want to know what your supply rate is. What are you being charged per day to have the electricity plugged in, even if you don't do anything. And then the second is the usage rate. So a general way to I mean, you can compare, but your supply rate's generally between $2 and $5 a day. And your usage rate can really vary depending on how much you're using and your postcode. But you can compare all of that just by using a site like Finder to see what the best deals are in your area. Health insurance. So the system here, Medicare, is fantastic, especially as an American. I'm very in awe of how great it is and how simple it is, and why I don't understand why it's so controversial. But those are my people, I guess. Anyway, a thing to know about it is it doesn't cover everything. So there's lots of benefits of having private health insurance. Stop that there. You've got ambulances, which are not free in Victoria under Medicare in most situations. You have the ability to choose your doctor and hospital. The Medicare surcharge levy, which if you were born after 1935, is something that's been introduced, where if you just pick up private health insurance, you'll pay a little bit more, which I'll talk about on the next slide. But your waiting times, one of the real perks, besides being able to choose your own doctor, is if you need elective surgery like a knee replacement, a hip replacement, any kind of non-life-threatening surgery, you'll get in a lot faster on average if you have private health cover versus using the Medicare system. So for hospital cover, all the things that hospital cover will include. So this is accommodation, cover operating theater fees, intensive care costs, eye surgery, prosthesis, gap cover. So there's a lot of things that that will be included if you have hospital cover. A lot of them can be covered through Medicare. Again, it's being able to pick your doctor and hospital and being able to jump the queue that is probably the biggest selling point for health insurance. And then this, I was talking about lifetime health cover loading, which is a newer thing in the insurance world, but it's essentially to encourage younger Australians to get on private health cover early, because as we get older, we tend to use the health services more, and rather than charge older Australians more for the service, the idea is to make sure that younger Australians are getting on board early to offset the funds. So if you buy in at 30, you're paying the actual cost of the product. If you never had private health cover, but you decide you want it when you're 60, you're going to have to, or later, you pay a bit more for that cover because you didn't essentially buy into the system. So this is what lifetime health cover loading looks like, just for a major health fund, if you were to have lived in Australia the whole time. Now, there's obviously, if you were born 1934 before, you're grandfathered in, and if you've only recently moved to the country or moved back to the country, there's lots of situations where this doesn't apply. But as a general rule, that's what lifetime health cover loading is. Then extras, if you're to get extra insurance, again, that's covering you for your ambulance, optical, dental, hearing aids, preventive tests, and anything like that. So Medicare, like for optical, will pay for your eye test. Extras will pay for your glasses. So that's a very, very quick overview there. Pet insurance. If you've got younger pets, we've got a cost per breed, and we're focused on dogs here because dogs tend to cost different amounts per breed. Cats are generally lumped into one bucket. But if your pet's 8 years old, you often can't get cover, and if they have a pre-existing condition, you often can't get covered. But you can get covered for accidents like a broken leg or things like that could put you in that tough situation of, is it such an exorbitant fee that's going to really affect you financially versus not being able to help your pet. Credit cards, really quickly, when you're looking at credit cards, it's about what you are trying to get from them. So if you want to earn frequent flyer points, there's cards for that you pay an annual fee on, but you're getting the benefit of air miles, which hopefully we'll be able to use very soon. If you have accumulated some debt in either other cards or in other loans, there's balance transfer cards, which allow you to have like a 0% period up to 2 years in some cases, which will help you pay down your debt faster. If you're just looking to transact with a bit of credit and you want to pay low interest, there's low rate cards that have no annual fee, and there's the same thing for. It's really 0.3 and 4 are the same thing. There are low rate cards that you can use, and cards that you can use and not pay by the month. It's kind of like when you're thinking about a credit card, it's like trying to pick the right knife out of a knife block. It depends what you're trying to do. There's no one best credit card. There are best credit cards across different ranges. Like if you're a Qantas flyer or a Virgin flyer, if you are interested in cashback, if you're interested in balance transfer, paying off other debt. So there's best cards for those situations, which we rank and let you compare. But there's no necessarily one best card. And prior to, despite contrary belief, credit cards are not the worst thing in the world. They can be if mismanaged, but if used well, they can save you some money and earn you some flights and that sort of thing. So finally, I'll just finish up with scams, and then we'll hand it back to Graham to show you how to save on your online shopping, and maybe keep this scam stuff in mind while you online shop. So losses to online shopping this year have increased 42%. Scam Watch, which is a site that collects this, I've received 12,000 reports so far of different scams, 7 million in losses, and losses on Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree. Shopping online are up 60% this year, and I mean, in no small part because people are kind of forced to shop online, but it's something to keep in mind. These sites are great. I just sold my couch on Facebook Marketplace, but there are just certain precautions to keep in mind. So one thing is if you're on a website or you get an email that just doesn't look very polished, or there's spelling errors or anything like that, that should be an immediate red flag. If there's really low prices that you've never seen anywhere before, like a $5 iPhone or a $12 TV, those are things that should send your alarm bells going. There's a lot of we've seen a lot of ads on classified websites with people claiming they're traveling. Somebody else will deliver the good. You just send the money to X. People that request a bank transfer or for you to pay through cryptocurrency, that should be a red flag. Checking independent reviews. So Graham mentioned you can search online for just through Google for lots of products. The nice thing about Finder is we have gone through and we've already vetted that these are legit deals and websites. So you can feel confident that if you're looking at a deal there, that it is actually a legit thing. Another thing to be aware of is not only the fake call where it's a robo voice saying you owe this much in taxes, or there's been a warrant issued for your arrest. Those are entirely scam calls and scam texts and emails meant to make you worry like you've done something wrong and respond by giving your information. So definitely something to be. I've gotten a few of those calls myself. So as far as I know, there is no warrant been issued for my arrest yet. But perhaps boring presenter might be, if that's a charge, I could be guilty. But and just keep in mind, Australia Post will never ask you to click a link to enter your personal details. They may send you a text saying your package is on the way, your parcel will arrive, but they're not going to be asking you to give that kind of detail. So if we look at here are the this year the top 10 online shopping scams. So pets has been a big thing. People have been looking for a little companionship during lockdown. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been taking advantage of that, saying they've got a new puppy or new kitten and, send the money here. And then, it never materializes. And down the list. So shoes, vehicles, phones, games, any of those big holiday gifts that you might expect are top of the scam list. So be vigilant. Get by no means pay full price if you can help it, but just be aware that there are a lot of scams going around and know where to turn to. So with that, I'll hand it back to Graham to walk you through how to do that, and then I think we'll take some questions after that if anybody has any.
Cool, thank you,
And
Taylor.
while you hand over to Graham, this is a perfect opportunity to remind people, Graham and Taylor, that next week we've got a 1 hour special, in fact, on cybersecurity, dumbed down for people like me. Someone from the Commonwealth Bank will explain what to look out for.
There you go. That's key. Actually, the online scams thing is don't think of it as the type of thing that only affects, you know, people who don't know what they're doing online, or seniors, or people who are looking for a pet in company, you know, during lockdown. It actually affects everybody. I've had a friend who actually works in IT security. So his whole job is to make sure people are secure online, and he designs IT security systems. So you would think he's the least likely person to get hit by a scam, but even he got hit by a scam online and had somebody, before you knew it, in his bank account withdrawing thousands of dollars from an ATM somewhere in North New South Wales. So it can affect anybody. So it really is important for kind of all of us to be vigilant with our data on that. So I'm just going to bring you through the final shopping saving tip that I had. You guys can see my screen, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Which actually is my favorite of the three, because, you know, online shopping deal codes, fine, whatever. Shopping on the particular days, whatever. They're just like something everybody can do. But this is something that not a lot of people know about, which you can use to sleuth on websites and find out if a sale is really a sale or not, basically. So this is JB Hi-Fi, for example. I've just picked up the first TV that came up at the top of their page for sale at the moment, which is a Samsung TV. And if you come across something like this, you're like, oh, it's a discount, it's 1,888. They're saying it's been discounted from 2,895. Well, is that really true? Has it been at that price? Is this actually the lowest price it's been sold at? Well, you have tools you can use to find that out now. So if you're using any site in Australia that isn't Amazon, there's a site called pricehipster.com, which you can use to search for price history, if it's available, on individual items in individual stores. So I've typed in the name of the TV, Samsung Q60T. I've typed it in here, and then it'll bring up a list of search results down the bottom. Now it'll bring up more than just the TV, because it's bringing up the sound accessory for this TV, and it's bringing up an instance of this TV in multiple different retailers. But you can find out which one you need by looking for the price. So we had 1,888. So in JB Hi-Fi, so this one here is the TV, 1,888 JB Hi-Fi. So we can click on this, and we can see the history of the price of this TV. Ooh, sorry, I got rid of it. 1,888 over time. So you can see that in April and then all the way to July, it was actually priced near the $3,000 mark. So their 2,895 statement is correct. And then it was discounted here, and then it went back up, and then it was discounted briefly and went back up. And just now it's dropped to 1,888. So this confirms that this is a genuine 35% off deal, and this is the cheapest this TV has been at. So if you came across this deal online, you could use this to verify it's actually pretty good value. And, you know, it might be a good idea to potentially purchase that TV. So that's Price Hipster. This doesn't work for Amazon, which is where most people do most of their online shopping in Australia right now. So we'll do an example with Amazon using a different website. So for Amazon, you would use this website here called Camel. And this only works with Amazon. It works anywhere in the world, but it just focuses on that one retailer. So I've pulled up, I'm looking for a coffee grinder at the moment. So this is one I happened to be looking at yesterday, the Bodum coffee grinder. So I thought we'll have a look at this one, because this one's on sale. So $49.95 it says, down to $39.95, $10 off, 20% off. Is that really a good deal? Is that the lowest it's ever been at? So let's find out. Okay, here it is. In Amazon, in Camel, rather than typing in the name of the product, you copy the web address of the product up here, which is what's in the address bar once you find the product on Amazon. So let's copy that and paste it into the search bar in Camel, and search, and it should find this product on Amazon, hopefully, for us. Bingo, Bodum coffee machine. So that's it. And here's the price history for this. And it's all over the place. Amazon tends to have really active pricing. So they have algorithms that run in the background, and they'll increase and decrease prices depending on movements in the market, depending on traffic, depending on a lot of things. And they tend to discount quite regularly, sometimes for no reason at all. So you can see this is the price graph for this. Remember, it's $39.95 at the moment. And you can see here it is now at $39.95. But actually, only last week, it was even lower. It was down to $36. And if you go back to May, it was actually at $35. And if you go back to January, it was on sale at $34. So actually, this isn't that much of a good deal at all. You could have got another $5 off this if you'd bought at another time. So if you were looking for a coffee grinder but didn't really need one right now, which is my situation, I'm not going to buy this. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to see when it drops. Now, if you're in this situation and you want to be notified when the price goes down, you can use this website to do that too. So once you find it here, see this create Amazon price watch, you can type your email in there, and you can type what price you want it to be at. So say you see here that it's been at 34. So you want to know if it goes down to 34. So you type in $34, you put your email address in, and you press track. And this site will monitor the price. And when Amazon drops it down to $34, they will send you an email, and then you can go online and buy. And this is the way I get most of my discounts online, rather than discount codes and shopping on the day, because this is active. So it waits and it tells you when the price is low. So that's probably my biggest online shopping tip. I did have all these pages loaded when I was talking to you guys earlier, but the reason I couldn't see them was because they were hidden behind my presentation. I didn't realize. So that's online shopping. I'll just talk about one final thing briefly, and I'll be quick because I know we've been going on for quite a while, which is savings accounts online. I'll just present. So I don't know how many of you guys are aware of the RBA cash rate and how that relates to savings accounts and home loans, but generally the RBA sets a cash rate which determines the cost of borrowing money in the Australian banking system, and that generally should then determine the costs of saving money and borrowing money for the consumer. So if the cash rate goes up, if the interest rate goes up, the home loans become more expensive, but also you make more money on your savings. If it goes down, the opposite happens. That tends to be the way this has happened in Australia. But things have changed in the savings account market in Australia in recent years. Look at this chart. This is the only chart I'm going to show you. I love graphs. My whole job is talking about graphs, but we're going to just do this one graph. But there's a red line and a blue line going back to 2004 here, right? And the red line is the RBA cash rate, what the RBA cash rate was set at all these different times. And you can see it's moving up and down and moving up and down. And the blue line is the average online savings account rate offered by the banks in Australia. So you put your money in a savings account, the standard off the shelf one, this is the rate that you get. And you can see it pretty much tracks the RBA cash rate all the way from 2004, all the way till around mid 2017. And then it suddenly drops through the floor. So Australian banks have pulled all of the value out of savings accounts, out of old-fashioned savings accounts, to try and save a bit of cash for themselves as they've tightened their coffers. So it's more difficult than ever to get decent interest on your savings, especially with the big banks. But you can get decent value in the market if you just kind of open your horizons a little bit. If you're looking for a deeper explanation of that cash rate stuff and how it affects savings accounts, on Finder, if you look for my Insights blog, just type Insights blog. I've got a lot of articles there. There's one in the top area about traditional savings accounts, and that goes through all the details there. If you're interested in finding out more about the rate and why banks have pulled that back, and why they're steering people to certain products. There's also an article in here, by the way, about my friend who lost all his money through an online scam. So if you want to find out about him, you can also read that on the Insights blog at Finder. But you'll find a lot of the big banks will offer savings accounts with a rate that looks kind of all right, but disappears pretty quickly. And there'll be other banks that don't do that. So here's an example. The top one here is from Commonwealth Bank. This is their standard savings account. So at the moment, I grabbed this from the site this morning. They're offering 0.6%. But that after 5 months, if you read the small print, drops to 0.05%, which is basically nothing. And if you're going to be signing up for a savings account, the first 5 months is kind of irrelevant if you're going to be holding the account for several years. If you look at ING, which is just one of the random online banks that I picked this morning, they have a savings account rate of 1.35%, and that doesn't disappear. So what you'll find is you'll get online banks to give you an ongoing rate, but you usually have to fulfill some criteria in order to get that rate. And usually it just means that you have money going into the account regularly and you're using your debit card regularly or something like that. Some have no restrictions at all, so just keep an eye on the restrictions. But just between these two accounts, going for the big bank or going for the smaller bank, I calculated the actual interest you would earn over 3 years based on the average person's savings amount and the average person's savings account in Australia. And between these two bank savings accounts, the Commonwealth Bank would only earn you about $60 in interest over the 3 years. So basically it leases. But the ING one would earn you nearly $1,700 in interest over 3 years. So a little bit of work can go a long way because these accounts are usually free to sign up for. Go onto a site like Finder and you can maybe potentially find a better deal. So it is worth having a decent savings account. And that is everything we said we would cover, I think. Yeah, so that's Tyler's next section. So we're happy to answer any questions anybody might have on household bills, credit cards, energy, online shopping, or savings accounts, if you have any.
People can unmute themselves, by the way, but I've already been in touch with Graham earlier, a couple of weeks ago, about possibly doing another session next year on money specifically, about ways to property market as well as savings accounts and that sort of stuff. So we might revisit that next year. But any questions right now? We've got time really for, I suppose, one question at the moment. Otherwise,
Lynette has her hand up.
Yep.
I've got a question. Sorry, I've got a question. Do you also have discount ideas on gas bills as well as electricity?
Yeah, we do. We compare gas bills and electricity bills as well on the site. Yeah, yeah. All energy suppliers, basically.
Thanks.
I've got a question. It's Charlotte. My son has a home loan, my oldest son, and some of the banks are now offering bring your loan to us and we'll give you 5,000 cash rebate or 4,000, blah, blah, blah. Do a comparison of those loans and what's involved. I've sort of just picked up the home loan rate maybe at a slightly higher percentage, but what are the implications? How long do you have to leave your loan with them? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, they're called refinance loans. So we do compare those in Australia as well. And we've seen a huge increase in people searching for refinance loans in Australia. If you're going to do a refinance and move your home loan, it's important to take account not only of the interest rate that the new bank is proposing, but also of all the fees that the bank, that the loan package has. Because some have an ongoing fee, some have no fees at all, and some have a once-off fee every year that's pretty high. If you want to find a way to compare home loans that includes all of that, allegedly, there's this thing called the comparison rate, which is meant to be the way you can compare home loans, and it factors in all of the fees. So you might have, say, arbitrarily an interest rate of 2%, but a comparison rate of 2.5 from one product and a comparison rate of 2.7 for another. That's meant to indicate that the 2.7 product is slightly more expensive when you factor in the fees. But I find, because the way banks calculate that is a bit old-fashioned and they tend to base it on lower loan amounts than people actually have in Australia, I tend to find it's not very accurate. So the best thing to do really is to go into details if you can, and just look at the interest rate and look at the fees, and then do a little bit of sums on the back of an envelope and see which is the best saving. But usually you will get decent value by switching your loan at the moment, because the competition is increased usually in the home loan market because there's no investors anymore. There's more banks than ever. So the banks are fighting over each other more than ever for that owner-occupier customer. So it does mean that there's probably more value than there has been previously in switching. So if a deal looks like a good deal, there's a fairly good chance it will be in the current market.
Thank you.
Yeah, watch out for break costs, of course. There may be break costs involved in switching.
Absolutely, yeah, that's something worth asking you about, yeah.
I have a question. My question is, I seem to get a lot of Optus emails that tell me that I owe things like that. Now, the site looks very real. How I don't open it because I know that I don't have anything to do with this particular thing. How do I know the difference between the real Optus and the fake one?
Okay, that's a good question.
Graham, I might interrupt there.
Yes.
Graham, I think that's the sort of question we should hand over to Theo Anton next week, the Information Security Manager at Commonwealth Bank, because that'll be a focus. If that's okay, we might hold off that question for Theo next week.
Yeah, I can just give you our quick usual advice on that, though, is there's a few telling signs, but often it's just not possible to tell. Often it's way too confusing to tell. So the best advice here is if you get an email from the bank, even if you think it's real, don't ever click on any links in that email. If you need to go to the bank website, type in the website separately and go there on your own. If you don't click on any links, then there's no risk. So no matter who it's from, don't click on any links. That's the best way to avoid those scams.
Yeah. We're going to have to call, we're running a bit over time, so I'm going to have to say thank you very, very much to both Graham and Taylor. As I can see some of the messages coming up now, very informative and interesting it was. I was expecting it to be both informative and interesting. And we will look, Graham and Taylor, at a subsequent session next year in 2021, focusing more on money issues and how you can compare between different loans and savings accounts and so on. And possibly, I know you've got a blog that covers property, Graham, so we might look at that next year for property prices and the best way. Of course, obviously, everyone's got to speak to their own financial advisor, get tailored advice, but certainly, sorry, tailored advice was not supposed to be a pun. But get it, obviously get personal advice, but we're going to have a great information session next year scheduled for that. But next week we do have an hour-long special, so scheduled from 11 till 12. We've got Theo Anton, who's one of the information security managers at Commonwealth Bank. He'll be speaking specifically about cybersecurity, what you should look out for and whether you could be the next victim. So the question we just had a moment ago, there's one of the things he's going to respond to. So thank you very much, Graham and Taylor, and very much appreciate it. I should also mention we have also an interesting session this coming Sunday night at 8 o'clock. It's not a Thursday lunch club because it's neither Thursday nor around lunchtime, but it'll be about disabled veterans. We're doing a live interview live with 2 disabled veterans all the way from Israel. It'll be Israel morning time, and we're doing it at 8 o'clock. So worthwhile popping along. It's actually, by the way, if you're interested, it's actually the same code, same Zoom ID and password as the as today's session. So the same one will be reused again Thursday night. But Graham and Taylor, on behalf of everyone, I want to say thank you very much. It was brilliant, as I expected.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, and nice to have a kind of casual kind of chat in this way rather than the high tempo stuff we're used to. I'll thank you on Taylor's behalf too. He seems to have dropped off, so I think he may have lost the internet at some point. But thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you very much to everyone, and may all your news be good news. Thank you very, very much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.